You think Cleopatra's tomb is lost forever, destroyed by earthquakes, buried under Alexandria, swallowed by the Mediterranean Sea, gone to history. A Dominican lawyer who quit her law practice in 2005 to chase a 2,000-year-old mystery in Egypt has been digging at a single site for 21 years. In September 2025, she and the man who found the Titanic announced they may have just discovered the path to Cleopatra's tomb. We might be the generation that finally finds her. Cleopatra VII Philopator, the last pharaoh of Egypt, born 69 BC, dead at 39, in 30 BC. She wasn't Egyptian by blood. She was Greek, the last ruler of the Ptolemaic dynasty, descended from one of Alexander the Great's generals. But she was the first Ptolemy in 300 years to actually learn the Egyptian language. She identified herself as the new Isis, the goddess of magic, motherhood, and queens. Her life was a series of impossible alliances. She seduced Julius Caesar, had his son Caesarion. After Caesar's assassination, she partnered with Mark Antony, politically and romantically. Together, they tried to build an empire that would have reshaped the Mediterranean. In 31 BC, they lost the Battle of Actium to Octavian, the future Emperor Augustus. Antony killed himself. Caesarea. Cleopatra followed him a few weeks later. The traditional story, she pressed an asp, a venomous snake, to her breast. Modern historians debate whether it was actually a snake or a more efficient poison. Either way, she died in Alexandria. Age 39. The last queen of an Egypt that had stood for 3,000 years. Plutarch, the Greek historian, recorded that Octavian buried Cleopatra and Antony together, quote, in a splendid and royal manner, but Plutarch never said where. For 2,000 years, archaeologists have searched. The most famous tomb in human history, lost. Most experts assumed she was buried in Alexandria, somewhere near her royal palace. But Alexandria's royal quarter sank into the Mediterranean around the 4th century AD earthquakes. Tsunamis. The palace is now under 8 meters of water. Franck Gaudio's team has been excavating it since the 1990s. They've found columns, sphinxes, statues. They've never found a tomb. In 2002, none of the world's leading Egyptologists were going to find Cleopatra's tomb. The person who would was a Dominican lawyer. Her name is Kathleen Martínez. Born 1966 in Santo Domingo, her father, Fausto Martínez, was a respected legal scholar with an extensive private library, including a deep collection on ancient Egypt. As a child, she was obsessed with Egypt, with Cleopatra specifically, but her parents told her, archaeology isn't worthwhile. Be a lawyer. Be successful. She listened. She got a law degree. She spent 20 years building a career as a successful attorney in the Dominican Republic. But Cleopatra never let her go. In 2002, she finally took her first trip to Egypt. She went to meet Dr. Zahi Hawass, the country's most famous archaeologist, the chief of Antiquities. She brought a hypothesis with her. Her hypothesis came from reading Strabo, the Greek geographer who lived in the 1st century BC and wrote a detailed account of Egypt. From Strabo's text, she had identified 21 sites associated with the Isis-Osiris cult. She'd ruled out 20 of them. The one she kept came back to Taposiris Magna, a temple complex 30 miles west of Alexandria, dedicated to Osiris, the god of death and rebirth, and to Isis, the goddess Cleopatra had identified herself with. The name Taposiris Magna literally means Tome of Osiris. Martínez's logic, If Cleopatra called herself the new Isis, and if she wanted a burial fit for a goddess, she might have arranged to be buried at her divine consort's temple, not in Alexandria where Octavian could control the narrative, but in a temple of the goddess she identified with. It was a hypothesis. Just a hypothesis. She went to Tawas and asked for permission to excavate. He said yes. In 2005, for 21 years, Kathleen Martínez has been digging at Taposiris Magna. For most of those years, the establishment thought she was wrong. Salima Ikram at the American University in Cairo, one of the most respected Egyptologists alive, has publicly disagreed with the Taposiris hypothesis. Most of her colleagues think Cleopatra is in Alexandria. End of story. Martínez kept digging. The first 5 years, she funded the project herself. Sold property in the Dominican Republic. Lived modestly in Egypt. In 2009, she found mummies dating to Cleopatra's era. In 2021, she found something stranger. Tombs containing skeletons with golden tongues. Gold leaf amulets shaped like tongues, placed inside the mouths of the dead. Egyptian belief: when you die, you must speak the password to Osiris to enter the afterlife. A golden tongue makes sure you can speak. These weren't ordinary burials. These were people prepared for an afterlife audience with the god of death himself. Then came 2022. She and her team broke through into a tunnel, 13 meters underground, carved into limestone with chisel marks 2,000 years old. The tunnel was 1,305 meters long, almost a mile, heading straight from the temple toward the Mediterranean Sea. This was not a normal feature of an Egyptian temple. Temples don't have escape tunnels to the sea. Temples don't have secret passages a kilometer long. This tunnel was built for a purpose, a specific purpose. What got carried through it? Or who? Strabo had described a port at Taposiris Magna in his geography, built to serve the temple. But after 2,000 years of sea level changes and tectonic activity, the coast had moved. The ancient port should be underwater now. Martínez looked at the tunnel, looked at Strabo's description. She made a phone call to Bob Ballard. Bob Ballard is 82 years old. He's the man who found the Titanic in 1985, the most famous shipwreck discovery of the 20th century. He found the German battleship Bismarck. He found USS Yorktown. He found JFK's PT-109. He has spent his entire life looking for things that human civilization lost in the deep. In 2024, Bob Ballard joined Kathleen Martínez's project, the Titanic Guy Hunting Cleopatra. He brought National Geographic-grade ROVs, remotely operated vehicles, side-scan sonar, underwater drones that can survey thousands of square meters of seafloor in days. He pointed them at the Mediterranean coast, 30 miles west of Alexandria, near Taposiris Magna's tunnel exit. In 2024 and into 2025, the survey continued. What they found was the most exciting underwater archaeological discovery in years. At 16 meters depth, in dark Mediterranean sand, the ROV lights caught stone columns, 6 meters tall, standing upright, polished, worked stone, a complete sunken port, cemented blocks, polished stone floors, ship anchors, tall ceramic storage jars, amphorae used for carrying wine, olive oil, grain. All dated to Cleopatra's reign. Then came the smoking gun, hundreds of bronze coins, 337 of them, many bearing Cleopatra's face, her name in Greek script. This was not a small fishing dock. This was a major port, with a treasury used 2,000 years ago, by people who paid in coins minted by Cleopatra herself. The port matched the description that Strabo had written 2,000 years earlier, to within meters, and it was connected, by the 1.3-kilometer tunnel to Taposiris Magna. September 18, 2025. Cairo. The Egyptian Ministry of Tourism and Antiquities held a press conference. Kathleen Martínez stood at the podium. She was 59 years old. She had been digging at Taposiris Magna for 21 years. Beside her stood Ballard, 82 years old. She announced, "We have discovered an ancient sunken port off the Egyptian coast, dating to the reign of Cleopatra. It is connected to the temple of Taposiris Magna by a tunnel that we discovered in 2022. We believe this port may have been the route by which Cleopatra was carried to her secret burial site." The press exploded. National Geographic premiered Cleopatra's Final Secret, a documentary chronicling the entire 21-year quest. It became one of the most watched specials of the year. In the weeks following, more discoveries came in: 337 bronze coins with Cleopatra's face, pottery and limestone vessels intended to hold food and cosmetics, a bronze ring dedicated to the goddess Hathor, protector of women, music, and royal queens, Salima Ikram. The senior Egyptologist, who had publicly doubted Martínez for years, issued a measured statement. "These findings are interesting and warrant further study. We must remain cautious about leaping to the conclusion that this is Cleopatra's tomb." Cautious is the academic word. Most laypeople watching the documentary had a different reaction. A Dominican lawyer who quit her career in 2005 has been digging in the same place for 21 years. The Titanic Guy joined her in 2024. Together they found a sunken port, a tunnel, a temple, 337 coins, and an architectural pattern matching exactly what an ancient geographer described 2,000 years ago. The tomb itself, still not opened. Yet, think about what's at stake. Cleopatra is one of the most famous women in human history. Shakespeare wrote a play about her. Hollywood made multiple films. Her name is one of the most searched in history. Her face is one of the most recognized. For 2,000 years, scholars have wondered, where did Octavian bury her? If Martínez is right, if the tomb really is at Taposiris Magna, accessed through that tunnel in that sunken port, it would be the largest archaeological discovery of the 21st century. We're talking about, potentially, Cleopatra's actual physical remains. We could DNA test her, confirm her age at death, confirm her cause of death, snakebite or other poison, her funerary goods, jewelry, royal regalia, texts, Mark Antony beside her, the Roman general who killed himself for her, possibly the funerary inscriptions that would tell us, in Cleopatra's own words, what she wanted history to remember about her. This isn't just an archaeology story. This is human civilization, recovering a memory we lost 2,000 years ago. But there's a deeper story here, about Kathleen Martínez. She was told as a child, archaeology isn't worthwhile. Be a lawyer. She listened for 20 years. And then she stopped listening. She left her successful career, moved to Egypt, spent 21 years being doubted by experts who had PhDs she didn't have. She kept digging. Most of us don't do that. Most of us listen to the people who say, it isn't worthwhile. Most of us don't quit successful careers to chase 2,000-year-old mysteries. Martínez did. If she's wrong, if Cleopatra isn't at Taposiris Magna, she has still spent her life on a question worth asking. If she's right, she's the woman who found Cleopatra after 2,055 years. Here's what I keep thinking about. In 2002, when Kathleen Martínez first walked through Taposiris Magna, she had no archaeology degree, no grants, no reputation. She had a hypothesis based on reading an obscure ancient geographer named Strabo. Most people in her position would have doubted themselves. would have listened to the experts who said, "It's in Alexandria, you're wasting your time," would have gone back to law. She didn't. 21 years later, the experts are watching her press conferences. There's a question this raises about your own life, about the things you've been told aren't worthwhile, about the questions only you seem to find interesting, about the patience it takes to dig in one place for 21 years while everyone tells you to move on. What's your Taposiris Magna? What, 2,000-year-old mystery? Or 20-year-old career change? Or 5-year project? Are you afraid to start because someone said it wasn't worthwhile? Maybe the answer is, start anyway, dig anyway, even if the experts don't believe you. Because the next archaeological discovery, the next mystery solved, is probably going to be made by someone everyone said was wrong to look. While Martínez waits for the moment, she can finally open Cleopatra's actual tomb. History is full of mysteries still being solved, some smaller, some weirder. Imagine a 12,000-year-old temple, older than agriculture, older than the wheel, built by hunter-gatherers who shouldn't have had the technology or organization to build it, buried deliberately by its makers around 8,000 BC. In 2007, archaeologists in Turkey started digging at a site called Karahantepe, like its more famous neighbor Göbekli Tepe, but stranger, quieter, less covered by media. Inside the buried chambers, archaeologists found human heads carved into living rock. Phallic pillars, symbolic creatures we still can't identify. It rewrites everything we thought we knew about the dawn of civilization. And nobody, not even the archaeologists, knows what it was for.